Welcome back, guys, to Rover Sports. I'm finally back here in my home studio. Spent a little time out on the road this time of the year. These 2 weeks are just very kind of difficult to get into a rhythm in terms of doing your work or in terms of staying consistent. It's an entertaining time for sure, but it's also a very hectic time for a lot of you guys that are out with family or, out doing the job, and people have a couple of days off, and it is what it is. The Giants drop a bombshell, though, a couple of bombshells, and we're first going to hit the Eli Apple portion of basically this video. The New York Giants, basically, I've told you guys, even though the channel has been taken over by the Niner Empire, I'm a Giants fan, and I've grown around the New York Giants, lived several hours from Giants Stadium, and the guy that I was named for, my grandfather, was a season ticket holder for the Giants, biggest Giants fan out there. So the New York Giants, very near and dear to my heart, big fan of them. But again, I like to bounce around, look at all other NFL teams, and Kyle Shanahan, the Niners, Jimmy Garoppolo. Again, this YouTube experience has drawn me closer to them and a couple of other players and fans of some other teams as well. But here we go with Eli Apple. So Eli Apple was basically given the axe by Landon Collins. Out of all the players in this current culture, Landon Collins around these kids, he seems like a 38-year-old guy. If you know what Giants fans see on a week-to-week basis, if you've heard Landon speak, Landon Collins earns respect. He's a Pro Bowl player. He's a very business-oriented guy. He's from that Saban tree at Alabama, and he's all business all the time, and he's really that leader of the defense. And even though it's only, I think, his third or maybe it's his fourth year in the NFL out of Alabama, he commands that respect, and he kind of owns that room, and he's kind of owned that room for really the last couple of seasons. And ever since that drop against the Patriots in his second year, he's been absolutely incredible. I think he's probably the best safety. He's probably at least one of the best safeties in all of football for his hitting and for the way that he reads plays. And Eli Apple has been inconsistent. You see the signs of talent, you see the recovery speed, but Eli Apple's been a guy that's really been thrusted into a starting role this year. The torch, they tried to pass it from Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie to Eli Apple, and you have veterans in Cromartie and Jack Rabbit Jenkins that have played on some losing teams, some winning teams, but they've been around the league a while. Then you have Darian Thompson, who's a hardworking, quiet kid from Boise by all accounts, and then you have Landon. And then you have a couple of guys like Adams that are backup guys. But Landon Collins, I trust his word on the situation. The fact that he leaked it to the public, he already apologized for that. Things like this are going to happen when you're in the New York media. Was it maybe the best way for it to get across? I mean, it kind of needed to be said. And I wish that the owners in Mara would value Landon Collins' opinion. Landon said that he tried to meet with Eli Apple, and then Eli Apple saying that he's lying. Eli Apple, through his effort, through his nonchalantness, for tweeting at halftime, for being immature in a lot of these aspects, he hasn't really earned, the respect of Giants fans to be given a pass really here. And Landon Collins, when you look at the hierarchy of respect amongst Giants fans, Landon Collins is right up there with maybe a JPP, right up there with Eli Manning, maybe a Devin Kennard, right up there with the strangleholds of this roster, which there aren't many. There aren't many Hakeem Nicks, Kareem McKenzie, Antonio Pierce's, Sean O'Hara's, Pettigrew Finn, even Jared Lorenzen. I mean, when you look at the Super Bowl teams, there was magic. Obviously, Justin Tuck, a Notre Dame grad, is one of the more intelligent guys to ever lace it up for the Giants. In fact, he got in the pen. That's how smart he is after he played football. So you had guys like him. You then, went on and had Chase Blackburn that was so cerebral. And the Giants just lacked those cerebral, gritty, tough players that they used to have under Parcells and under Tom Coughlin. And that kind of brings me to my second point. So the first point is it's going to be very difficult for you to keep the congruency of Eli Apple or Landon Collins. To me, it's kind of a no-brainer. You're going to have to look to get Eli Apple the heck out of town, and you can sell him on his talent, and he's still young enough and talented enough where you can get a third or fourth rounder back for him. The second thing I was going to talk about today is the main news, and that's Dave Gettleman being the general manager for the New York Giants. When I look at some teams and some cultures, some teams have what you call a chemistry, or they have a lack of effort culture, a cultural problem. And then there's some mediocre teams that still show decent effort, but can fall apart here or there. That's what I'd call like the Redskins, the Lions, the Bengals. That's a mediocre level of talent. And the Giants were a playoff team last year, although beating up on terrible teams. Their defense has talent. Olivier Vernon's a talent. These are guys that you pay a lot of money for. Vernon, Jackrabbit, JPP. Defense is talented. Sterling Shepard in some ways has shown signs of talent. Beckham is a talented player. And then you look at the running backs, not incredibly talented. The quarterback is at the stage in his career where he's not talented, and the offensive line is not talented. So you do lack talent on the offensive side right now. If you hit the O-line in the draft, and maybe you go after Josh Rosen at this stage because you're going to get the second overall pick, you can eventually get enough talent to win. But in this NFC, with first off, you do have Beckham. And my stance on Odell Beckham is he definitely is a guy that's very distracting. I mean, the first couple of years, the him and Josh Norman saga, you could tell that Tom Coughlin was tired of him. It looks like Eli Manning is kind of dealing with a guy that is honestly like Odell acts like a teenager in a lot of regards, and he has made strides here or there, but he doesn't seem like a guy like I do Jimmy Garoppolo film videos every week. He doesn't seem like a guy that's a Goodwin, that's a professional, Marquise Goodwin, or Trent Taylor, or Kendrick Bourne. Like, even those rookies, to me, like Taylor and Goodwin, that are young players, they seem like they're savvy. They seem like they're older players. And the Giants have none of these receivers right now that carry that professionalism that I really would like. And a lot of it could stem from going to Miami on that boat trip, what we do see. And there happens to be a problem with the seriousness of the culture. And that's why Dave Gettleman was brought in. He's trying to bring back a serious, no bullshit kind of culture back into New York. The one thing is, though, is that Gettleman's not a guy that you would love to just have a beer with and kick back and relax with. Ben McAdoo was a dick. He was mean to his players. He was an evil dictator. And from all accounts, Dave Gettleman is not exactly, this John Gruden kumbaya, let's all get together, let's all, roast marshmallows out on the beach and hang out and put some Hershey chocolates and get some s'mores fired up on the beach. He's not exactly that type of guy, crack back beers and relax. I mean, you do want to value, especially with the Eli Manning benching, people skills is very important, and that's certainly what Ben McAdoo lacked from day one. He lacked people skills from the day that he got in New York, and Dave Gettleman, in that same sense, kind of has that similar problem. As I keep, darting my hair around in kind of the wrong ways here on Rover Sports, the show. Dilly dilly. Cheers. But what I was going to say about Gettleman is it's a very complex kind of situation, because you want to have a likable guy, like a guy who can bring people together, like John Gruden's my guy. John Gruden can bring the locker room together. Sean McVay and Les Snead are guys. John Lynch is a guy because you're likable, but yet you're firm and tough when you need to be. And that's what's lacking, really, with the options that are out there. You could have got Louis Riddick, who's probably a lot nicer guy. At least Louis Riddick on TV seems like a very chill guy, very liked and respected, but he lacks that experience and that maybe that seriousness. And again, with the New York Giants right now, they want to go for a very safe option where nothing will fall apart. Like the last thing they want to do is go 2-14 ever again. They want to get guys, no bullshit type Bill Parcells like guys. The problem is that Ben McAdoo was similar in that he had zero people skills, and that's what Dave Gettleman brings. It's very concerning to read about guys like D'Angelo Williams that has played a while in this league. The one thing is, you look at some of the guys that Gettleman has pissed off, and non-objectively speaking, Steve Smith has made enemies in this league. Even though he's beloved by Carolina, he's kind of a very fiery personality. Josh Norman for sure is in that camp. D'Angelo Williams is very vocal in terms, they're polarizing, meaning that they're love or hate and they're going to have enemies. But when you look at Thomas Davis and Greg Olsen having problems, when you look at Julius Peppers having problems, then it becomes more of a systemic, this guy literally does not communicate well. And Ben McAdoo didn't communicate at all. So when you look at Gettleman, he can be, by all accounts in Carolina, he was an asshole. If you read the Charlotte Observer reports, basically Brandon Beane needed to be there because the players hated dealing with Dave Gettleman. And that, my friends, is a big time problem. That's a big, big kind of systemic issue that we kind of have to look at as we kind of assess David Gettleman and assessed Gettleman and the candidate that he is. Now, from a talent perspective point, 3 championships of the South, of the NFC South, a 15-1 season, really 18-1 when you, or 17-1 when you look at it, 17-2 with the Super Bowl loss. That's really impressive. Cam Newton, bringing in, I guess, Josh Norman. He's a guy who looks at a lot of film. He's a no bullshit kind of guy. He knows the New York Giants. He's been in the system. The Maras have the respect of this guy, Dave Gettleman. The problem is that I'm a little lukewarm on it, though. I think that the Giants are going to get decent players, but literally Steve Smith said that Dave Gettleman didn't even have the balls, didn't even have the courtesy to speak to Steve Smith about releasing Steve Smith. So it's a no bullshit kind of move. What you would want is a combination of both. You want a person who has people skills, but that is tough, lays down rules, and if the rules are broken, will then act and punish when according to that situation. But you want people that can, handle things in-house, handle things in a professional manner, still carry respect even though the players enjoy them. Sean McVay, Dan Quinn, Kyle, Bill Belichick's the only guy that, again, has gotten away with the whole, kind of being a dick thing to a lot of guys in some ways. That's what Bill Belichick is kind of known for, if we're just talking here. Ironically, Bill Belichick, when he's off of the football field, ironically, is known to be a good guy. So the Gettleman hire, there wasn't a ton of options. I mean, Brandon Beane, what I would have liked better. Tom Coughlin maybe would have been a better option. In the GM world, Gettleman's respected. It's a tough time, and time will tell. I'm going to buy in because Gettleman is so smart on the film. Gettleman will bring toughness back, but those problems that I just developed could come back to really hurt the Giants, and now this means that the head coach will need to be that much more of a communicator of the team, because the head coach now, you certainly have a bad cop in Dave Gettleman, you need a good cop. And that's why John Gruden could maybe come in, or somebody of that ilk. Or if you hire a home run, you're going to need a head coach that just has a ton of respect and that just can run a tight program like a Saban, a David Shaw, Harbaugh, or John Gruden. Those are the top 4 for sure right now. Scott Linehan, nose dip. Hearing McDaniels, hearing the coordinator out of Carolina, maybe LaFleur. So Big time news for the New York Giants, and it's going to be a new regime. I'm confident though on the talent that will be brought in, but the culture needs to be of the team working together. And alrighty guys, thanks for watching.